Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another action-packed edition of Warring to Attitude. This is the 64th edition. I'm your host, Brent Piles, and of course, with me, as always, I do not war to attitude by myself. He is the barroom brawling, disco dancing, dynamite stretching, intercontinental playboy, folks. He's more over than tubing down over the river while drinking alcohol. He might not be that over, but he's pretty over. At J. Russell Night, Glenn. Glenn, how you doing?
Season's greetings. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm doing well.
I won't show you what my chest looks like. It's severely sunburned. Not severely sunburned, but I am a little sunburned. But I will save you that visual.
Thank you, because there's a few years ago when you went, when you were doing one with Jeremy and I, that we got the full chopped liver look.
Oh,
you really burnt yourself.
Yeah, no, I think that was like a couple years ago. Yeah, I mean, I'm usually pretty good about. Well, I'm not usually pretty good about remembering to put on sunscreen. The wife is usually pretty good at reminding me to put on sunscreen.
Yeah, that's more like it.
You've seen my wife. She is she's got a tanner complexion skin, so she doesn't burn like my white ass does.
No.
We were trying to get me a tan, Glenn. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere with that. But anyway,
no, you're never ever gonna be mistaken for Native American. Sorry.
No, not me. Absolutely not. No, I will not. No, I will not. That is a fact. So after Clash of the Castle, congratulations. We'll talk more about Clash of the Castle, I'm sure, with the mayor. I don't even know if the mayor watched Clash of the Castle because he sent me text messages of pictures of action figures he was looking at during the. I just distinctly remember it was during the Piper Niven Bailey match because I said, "Pal, you've got to see what Chelsea Green has on," and he's like, "Oh, I'm looking for toys." So. I don't even know if the mayor watched it, so we might not talk about it with the mayor, but we'll discuss it further when we do our Slamboree show tomorrow.
Yes.
But you are still the reigning defending pay-per-view champion, Glenn. Congratulations.
Yeah, more by luck than judgment, that one, though.
Well, the ones that won it for you were Isla Dawn and... Actually, that wasn't even the one that won it for you because the mayor picked them too. The one that won it for you was that you picked Sammy and the rest of us picked Gable, so that's why you won it.
Yep, that's fair enough. Yep. Did you see Raw last night?
So I watched a bit of Raw this morning when I got up, but I did not see it all. I saw Seth Rollins return, which was very shocking to me because I didn't think we'd see Seth back for a while.
No, I didn't either. And did you see the end?
I did not see the end. Is that when the Wyatt Six showed up?
Yes.
Okay, I saw some stuff and pictures, but I didn't see the whole entire thing. So I do know that they showed up.
And there's only 5 of them yet.
So who's missing?
Maybe
I'll go back and watch, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But the Euros have been taking place.
They definitely have.
This week they definitely have. We watched a barn burner of a last one. I mean, nothing happened until the final 30 minutes, but I believe it was Portugal and the Czech Republic.
Chechnya.
Czech Republic went up 1, and it was something.
They don't call themselves the Czech Republic anymore. They call themselves Chechnya.
Thank you for culturing me, Glenn.
That's right.
That's better. But yeah, that was a good match. But Portugal winning 2-1,
which is the result that I had on our Dream Team site.
Well, there you go.
Pal. I did some predictions. Most of them failed miserably, but that one I got right.
Speaking of failing miserably, they didn't fail miserably. Well, I'll tell you about a team that did fail miserably, and that's Belgium. Belgium failed miserably, and they had the biggest upset in the history of European soccer when the number 2 ranked Belgium team lost to the 48th ranked.
Yep, that's about right.
Was it Slovenia?
Yeah.
Yeah, which brought a smile to my face because I hate those. I hate Kevin De Bruyne. So, but I do love Trusthard, so it's kind of like a love-hate.
Yeah, the trouble with the Belgium side is they're relying on too many old players. They did at the last World Cup, and they've not brought any real youth in. I think
Yeah.
Trossard's one of the younger ones.
Trussard, and then what's that guy's name that plays for the City too? Aki.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he's good too. I also thought that it was very puzzling that they didn't. I read that like he kind of had a riff with the manager, but at some point you have to put your pride aside because that guy who's the Real Madrid keeper, who is usually the keeper for Belgium, he's like one of the best keepers in the world. So you figure even if you didn't get along with him, you would put your fucking pride aside and get the guy on the team. So that didn't make any sense to me.
Football managers never make sense. You try and make sense out of them. That's what makes you laugh about when they talk about Mikel Arteta. I just can't say to people, just have faith in him. Don't try and analyze him or second guess him. Just have faith in what he's doing.
It's worked out thus far, so
yeah.
Why question it? I would question stuff if it doesn't work, but if it's working, shut up.
That's right. Why go on both the ex-Twitter and the other one that we're on, Threads, put up half a dozen players that Arsenal haven't signed, all in Arsenal shirts, and going, "Who would you take?" Well, it's not down to us; it's down to them.
Right.
And I trust their recruitment.
They know better than I do.
Yeah, it's not failed us so far. So
yeah, they definitely go better. They definitely know better than I do. The England game was good in the first half, and then, not even. I feel like this happens a lot with England. They score a goal, and then Southgate goes, "You know what? We've got to change everything that we've done this entire game that's been working and do something else. And I'm going to make asinine substitutes because I don't know what he's doing. I really don't. I'm lost."
You had the Bukayo Saka and Jude Bellingham tearing that defense, a new one in that first half.
Yeah.
How they weren't 4 or 5 up. If Harry Kane had been as sharp as they've been saying he is in Germany, then we would have been 4 or 5 up at half time. Some of those crosses that Saka was putting in. But then the second half, he decides to go all defensive. So he pushes the pair of them back.
Yeah.
And their defense goes, "Oh, that's handy. Thank you very much."
I did not understand. I think I said this is what I said to you and Dan. It was the football equivalent of living on a prayer.
Yeah, it was.
Because they weren't trying to win; they were trying not to lose or not to concede, and that's not the way to go.
No,
especially when so early on in the game. I get when you get down to the 85th minute, 86th minute, yes, but you don't do that the whole second half when you're only up a goal.
No, that's right.
It makes, and all the talent on that team. It just, how can you fuck that up? I don't understand it.
Well, half the talent didn't turn up.
Well, that's true.
Harry Kane, I think he has horseshoes on his feet, not football boots. And Foden, where he might as well have not been there.
I was shocked that, well, I guess not from the perspective that they were at, but I thought that Palmer would at least get in there at some point, but he didn't.
No. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't get it. We will be discussing the Euros further as we get deeper into the tournament. Match day 1 is over now. We're going into match day 2. Who's England got next, Glenn? Do you remember?
Switzerland.
So I mean, I think Lewandowski was Poland. I'm confused. I got my flags. I got my flags confused. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. But for now, Glenn, let's go back to 1997, December 22nd, 1997, to be exact, and the Lowell Memorial Auditorium in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Which was why, for anybody that was confused, why I said happy holidays when we started, is because we're in the Christmas season in 1997.
Yeah, it's pretty much the Christmas episode of Monday Night Raw, which
is.
If you watched a lot of Christmas episodes over the years, you know they're usually not very good.
This is the exception, though, thankfully.
Yeah, this one actually was pretty good. We won't need to talk about this arena because we've talked about this arena before. back on Thursday, Raw Thursday, which took place on February the 13th. So one of the very first episodes of this. And you'll remember that it's the night that Shawn Michaels lost his
Just
smile.
a smile.
Hold on, Glenn. I got to go sort out the dog. All
Hello,
right.
Thurman.
I have now returned with Thurman, yes. The opening of this show is a video package talking about, what happened with LOD last year, giving a whole recap of their careers. And I feel like we saw a lot of videos recapping the Legion of Doom's careers throughout 1997.
We have.
It's almost as if they've died 6-7 times.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think they were expecting them to.
Or something, yeah. They talk about how both Billy Gunn, Road Dogg, and DX, both teams are claiming credit for the attack, and now the two teams are having a problem with one another. And they take us into the arena, and they're making it snow in the arena because it's the last Raw before Christmas, as we talked about. DX comes down to the ring, and they're wearing bathrobes, Glenn.
As you would do when it's snowing.
And I thought to myself, oh no, there's something bad under there.
That was true.
And I wasn't wrong there. JR warns us that DX has a surprise in store for us, but they tell us the sensors are ready to go. So that's good there.
They didn't really do their job very well, did they?
No, they didn't. I didn't read that this was taped, but I'm thinking that it probably was, considering that when they showed the announcers, they weren't actually in the arena. It was like a backdrop of the arena. So
it was. My note says that it's Jim Ross, Michael Cole, and Kevin Kelly as usual doing commentary, and they are taped from Raw.
That's what it is. Okay, that's what I thought. Triple H gets on the mic and he talks about how he's had a nice long career, how LOD had a nice long career until DX put an end to it. He then talks about the New Age Outlaws, how he thinks that they can pick the bones or take the credit for ending the careers of LOD, and if they knew what was best for them, they would stay out of DX's business. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know. It was like for some reason to try to make it seem like there's a rift between them, like they weren't going to join them or something. I just didn't understand why they were, because there was no payoff to it.
No. The payoff with the New Age Outlaws was better later on.
Yeah, it really was. Absolutely. Well, it had nothing to do with DX. Yeah.
No, it had nothing to do with DX.
Yeah, they started talking about Owen Hart, which gets some big Owen Hart chants started in the arena. He talks about how he won the rock, paper, scissors competition, and now that means he gets Owen Hart on a silver platter. Shawn Michaels gets on the mic. He talks about the Undertaker. He says he couldn't beat him the first 2 times, so the third time won't be the charm, because he's like a redheaded stepchild. He beat him like a redheaded stepchild at Hell in a Cell, which I thought was funny because he is redhead. He then he says that they take off the bathrobes and they're wearing boxers, and then they rip the boxers off and they make a bunch of bad dick jokes.
That you could actually see underneath the censoring that they were wearing thongs.
Yes, they was wearing banana hammocks, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the Sarge comes out there, gets in the ring. They put their robes back on because that's what you do when the Sarge shows up. He tells DX that since it's so close to Christmas and he is in the Christmas spirit, he has a present for the two of them. He says that HBK hasn't defended the European title in over 60 days. So he tells him he will defend it tonight on Raw against someone of Sarge's choosing, or he will strip him of the title. He then tells him that the person that he'll be facing is Triple H. This sort of sends DX into a frenzy, and they have a little back and forth with each other.
What could possibly go wrong there?
Oh, nothing at all, Glenn. Nothing at all. Let's see what DX have to say about this match they're going to have with each other.
Listen, I know all you're trying to do. Listen, I know all you're trying to do is ruin DX right before Christmas. You're trying to ruin Shawn Michaels' Christmas with me beating him and taking the European title from him right before Christmas. I can see what you're trying to do.
Whoa. I was with you up until the point where you said you'd beat me.
Little animosity now.
with all due respect, Triple H, you don't get to wear a belt on each shoulder by being a loser.
A rift, a possible rift in
So-
DX.
In case you don't know, maybe you should ask around, because the Heartbreak Kid doesn't lay down for anybody.
It's been set for tonight, folks. What a Christmas present could it be? The destruction of D-Generation X.
That's not what his gimmick says, that he never lays down for anybody.
Well, his gimmick indicates he's laying down for somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
That's for sure. They tell us a big matchup tonight, Glenn. We get to see The Rock taking on The Undertaker, which should be interesting, but I'm sure Kane will probably show up. We see JR, Michael Cole, Kevin Kelly. They're not even in the arena. They're in front of a green screen, so this must be taped. I forgot that I put that in my notes, but there it is. They tell us that Mankind is in the building, and he's got something to say about what happened to Dude Love. So let's hear from old Mankind in the bowels of the arena.
I know what you're thinking. Here's Mankind jumping to Dude Love's defense. And why don't you just let him fight his own battles? You see, there's an interesting phenomenon that occurs when you break Dude Love's ribs. Mine hurt too. And I don't want to spend this holiday season in pain. I want to drink eggnog around the fire. I want to make the Yuletide gay. So, New Age Outlaws, I do feel at this time of year it is better to give than to receive. And I will give you the beatings of your life. And you will receive them. It's the fight before Christmas. Have a nice day.
That was amazing.
Just what you want for Christmas. Mankind making the Yuletide gay.
Yeah, whooping your ass. Yeah, putting your fingers down your throat. That was amazing. That was really good. That was much better than the Christmas story that we'll hear later on.
Yes.
The Headbangers then are taking on the Godwins. They show us some footage from Shotgun Saturday Night where these two teams had a tag team match, and the Godwins got hit over the head with their own bucket, which is very insulting to any hog farmers. Anybody hog farmer will know. You can't hit them with their own bucket.
This match it only went on for 1 minute and 9 seconds, thankfully. But in that 1 minute and 9 seconds, it made me so itchy. I've never seen 4 such disgusting people grappling.
That ring needed a tetanus shot afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't last long. It ended in a DQ. And I thought it was a tag match, only to find out that when they threw it out, it wasn't. It was a one-on-one match between one of the Headbangers and one of the Godwins. And I'm not sure which one which.
It was Thrasher against Hog.
Thrasher versus Henry then. Okay. Literally until they said disqualification, I thought it was a tag team match, but it wasn't.
No.
They get their whipping things out and they start whipping the Headbangers because I guess they're the kings of the country whipping match.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't vote for them. We then see a very interesting exclusive with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Santa Claus after Raw last week. Apparently Santa wanted Sable, but he got Austin instead. And then he brings a kid into the ring. And you'll notice this kid looks very familiar, doesn't he?
It does.
And people always think this is either Jimmy or Jay, but it's not. I've seen Jay in a interview say that this is actually their other brother who's not in the wrestling business, Jeremiah, that is in the ring with Austin and Santa here.
Definitely a long-haired Samoan, anyway.
It looked like Jimmy or Jey Uso. 100%. And if I hadn't seen Jay talking about this, I wouldn't have thought that it wasn't. I would have definitely thought it was Jay or Jimmy. He then asked the kid what he wants for Christmas. The kid told him he's not the real Santa. Santa didn't like that, so he yelled at the kid and sent him back to his seat. Which then that brought Steve Austin out to the ring. He told him that he shouldn't have kicked the kid out of the ring, that he's not the real Santa. In fact, he's a piece of crap. He then asked Austin asked, when he was 6 years old, what he wanted for Christmas. Was it a Barbie doll or was it Tiddlywinks? Austin didn't like the idea to this, and so then he stunned Santa
Would you?
Claus, of course. I mean,
Would
I probably
you?
would. I probably would have took it in stride.
Yeah, you're not Steve Austin. No.
We never got around to what Steve Austin wanted for Christmas when he was 6, did we?
No, never did find out.
What do you think a 6-year-old Steve Austin wants for Christmas?
Oh, one of those wrestle buddies to beat up and practice stunning.
Yeah, but those probably weren't around when he was a kid.
Oh, no, probably not.
So he can't be that much younger than you, Glenn. He can't be.
No, he's.
I think he wanted a shotgun, probably. That sounds right up his alley.
Yeah, that sounds probably right, actually.
Yeah. We then see like outside the DX locker room, and you can hear the guys arguing with each other in there, over the championship match, and I believe Shawn Michaels comes storming out of the locker room, as they're arguing. Then we get to it. The Rock versus The Undertaker. The Rock is still without his Intercontinental Championship belt after it was thrown off a bridge last week. The Rock gets on the mic before the match and introduces himself as the new undisputed Intercontinental Champion. He said this before, but this time he's actually right.
Yep.
What did you think about this one between one current Hall of Famer and one surefire Hall of Famer?
This was good.
Oh, definitely.
I'm glad they gave it a bit of time before the shenanigans started. They actually gave them time to have a wrestling match, which, to be fair, was a typical Undertaker wrestling.
Yeah, sort of slow and prodding, and yeah. Which nothing wrong with that. I don't have
no. He's no luchador. We know that.
Right. And even I'd say even in this era, you wouldn't see the sort of working that he would do later in his career, because I really think he really started to like kick it into another gear when he started to be the American Badass, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, it was a decent match between the two. You could tell that Taker trusted The Rock.
Yeah.
Just by the amount of offense he was letting him get in.
Yeah, and eventually Paul Bearer does come down. The Undertaker is going for old school. Paul Bearer comes down the aisle, which distracts the Undertaker and the referee. So Kama gets up on the apron and he knocks the Undertaker down off the top rope. Paul Bearer does stay out, like sort of at ringside during the match. And like Glenn said, when I saw this match going to take place, I was like, well, fuck, it's going to either the Nation's going to jump in 2 minutes or Kane's going to show up in 2 minutes. But luckily, they did get a nice, solid back and forth between the two.
And the fact that Taker chokeslammed and dropped the leg on the Rock before the lights went out, you assume that the Taker would have won that.
Yeah, because he was just going to pin him, and that would have been it. Or, the Nation would have hit the ring. So, yeah, the Undertaker hit the chokeslam, then the tombstone, and then the lights go out. Kane makes his way down to the ring. He gets in the ring. Paul Bearer gets on the mic. He says he invites the entire world to feast their eyes on their phenom, and says he's a shell of him for his former self. He says he has he had a chance last week to face his brother, but he ran away. He also says he was ashamed that he ever stood beside him and called him his friend. He says that he's nothing at all, and his poor parents are going to have to celebrate the holidays with the worms and the maggots. The Undertaker, of course, doesn't like this, tries to go after Paul Bearer. He's stopped by Kane. It looks like for a second, the Undertaker grabs Kane by the throat. It looks like he may fight back, but then he thinks better of it, and Kane beats him down in the corner. Before they eventually,
I actually love the acting Undertaker's doing in this, because you could see him getting angry, and he grabbed Kane, and then he just sort of looked sad and shook his head.
Yeah.
No, that was classic Undertaker.
It was and like the look that he always he'll have on his face whenever he comes face to face with Kane, he always has like an awe, like the look you would have if you thought your brother was dead for 20 years and then all of a sudden he's standing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, really good. I think this is like the time where he really starts to come in. He comes into his own because he's able to show more of himself as opposed to just a guy who's dead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then they leave the ring. Paul Bearer kind of berates Undertaker more on the mic. He says the Undertaker is nothing, and this is proof, and that the year of 1998 will be the year of Kane.
Yep.
And then we get the start of the War Zone. It looks like we're going to get the Triple H Shawn Michaels European Championship match right now, but we don't. Why didn't we, Glenn?
Because Owen Hart, as usual. And then, we get Sergent Slaughter come out, try and restrain Owen Hart and send him back out the back. After telling him last week that if he wanted to have a match, to do what everybody else does, walk out from the back and don't endanger the crowd, which, to be fair, he didn't do.
I just thought about that right now, Glenn. You're goddamn right. They told me last week Owen Hart was walking to the ring and having a match this week. Well, guess what? He didn't.
No.
That sounds like a bait and switch, Glenn. I thought we didn't do those.
I think we're giving up on those.
So after all that happens, they're kind of like yelling at Sargent Slaughter, saying, "You knew he was going to come out here." And Sargent Slaughter kind of has a shit-eating grin on his face as they're yelling at him, which I thought was funny. We then see Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg. They're searching the arena for Mankind. They've got helmets with flashlights on them.
Just before that.
Oh, I missed something.
Yeah, it probably was because I'm checking with the Scott's blog of doom.
Oh yeah.
Notes as well as my own. And back when this was first reviewed, it was a 1900 Rumble 98 to register yourself for the Steve Austin pickup truck contest. It'll cost you $1.99, or you can send a postcard to Devon, Pennsylvania.
$1.99 to possibly win a truck that's been fucking beaten up by all the Nation of Domination members.
Yeah, and probably signed by them as well, I would have thought.
Wow, it's probably not even worth the taxes you'd have to pay for winning it. So yeah, they're searching for Mankind. They've got helmets with lights on them. They see somebody, they start beating the hell out of him, but it wasn't him.
Brilliant Jim Cornette moment in this. He says, "My God, this building's got big bowels."
Cornette had a couple of classic lines in this thing. Yeah, he usually has a couple. Yeah, so they beat up some poor guy. Who do you think the poor guy they beat up was? I have a theory. Who do you think it was?
I haven't got a clue.
I guarantee it was the Brooklyn Brawler.
Oh, probably, yeah. I didn't even think about him.
It was the fuck. I know it was the Brooklyn Brawler. And now the match everybody's been clamoring for weeks. A dream match of sorts. It's Marco Mero taking on, don't call me too hottie, not yet, Scotty Taylor. We haven't seen Scott Taylor since he was in the semifinals of the light heavyweight tournament, but he got destroyed by Kane. If I was him, I'd want a fucking championship match. That's what I'd be asking for. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And they kept on saying how he was a light heavyweight up against Marc Mero. So. Yeah.
So Marc Mero gets on the mic, of course, says he's in the Christmas spirit, so he's going. We're going to get to look at Sable, and he said some weird poem that I'm not going to recite. And then someone who may or may not be Sable, it does end up being Sable, but I do have in my notes, may or not be Sable, because who knows? Could have been Gold Dust under there. I don't know.
Well, he worked very well in high heels if it's Gold Dust.
I feel like Gold Dust
yeah, probably.
He's had practice. And so then here comes Sable in a reindeer costume and a Rudolph costume. He had a red nose.
Yep.
He makes a bunch of dumb jokes about antlers. He's like, "Oh, I like your antlers. Are they real?" He then wants the the reindeer to be obedient, and then shows that the nose lights up, and then he kicks Sable out of the ring, which she does end up taking the head off the costume when the match starts. There's not really anything to say about the match. There wasn't a lot to the match. Yeah. Tom Brandi shows up after Marc Mero gets the win with the TKO. Because
just so you weren't saving. One job of saving another.
Look, we don't care about Tom Brandi versus Marc Mero. We don't care about Marc Mero. And having him fight Tom Brandi isn't going to help.
No. What does help, though, is Sable removes her head.
Well, she took off the whole costume, the whole reindeer costume, yeah.
Eventually, yeah. But she showed it was her. And then stripped down to the sexy Santa suit. That did help.
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I did make it a little bit better, but I still don't care about this feud, and I just wanted it to go away forever. We then get they do these at different times. We got kind of like dueling promos from DX about their match later, and I'm gonna play you both of them. They're very sarcastic, excellent. And when you watch it now, you're like, "There's no way they're really gonna fucking wrestle each other." So
no.
This is what Shawn Michaels wants. This is what Shawn Michaels is gonna get. What do you mean I have nothing to prove by kicking his ass? Of course I do. He's always out here. Oh, I'm the showstopper. I'm the icon. I'm the main event. I got everything to prove. Yeah, well, I mean, I got my lucky shirt on, but so what? Shawn Michaels, you've got a lesson to be taught, and I'm going to teach it to you.
The ugliest thing about this Generation X is you, Triple H, and I'm going to take care of you once and for all. I know I've got nothing to prove. I'm a World Wrestling Federation champion, the coveted European champion, but still, Triple H has got a lesson to learn, and I'm going to have to teach it to him. You know that. I know I've got my lucky shirt on, but the fact of the matter is I'm still going to have to go out there and smack him around.
You get the idea that China is orchestrating all this.
Yeah, and it also seems like it's just a joke. And I remember watching this like as a teenager, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, they really might not like each other." But as I watch it back now, they were being very sarcastic with all of it.
They were.
So they had me fooled as a teenager. Shows how dumb I was. Then we get the 8-Ball versus Kurgan match, and we get the Jackal yammering on the fucking microphone the whole time. He also kisses what looks like a very young girl in the front row.
He did. That was disgusting.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't like it. It was funny during this match. Cornette says, "I hate motor mouth managers," and JR goes, "I've been saying it for years."
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. It was the only good thing about this match was that.
Yeah, big meaty men slapping meat.
But not exciting in my
no, definitely not exciting.
Yeah, then Kurgan ends up getting the win with a sidewalk slam. 8-Ball goes after the Jackal after the match. So the rest of the Truth Commission comes out and they start beating on him until Skull runs in, hacksaw Jim Duggan style, and clears the ring with a 2x4. Another feud I don't care about. Then we get more of the New Age Outlaws looking for Mankind in the back, and this time they're looking in what looks like to be the boiler room. That's usually where Mankind's at, but you still can't find it.
Yeah, that's a bit strange. You'd think if it'd be anywhere, it'd be the boiler room.
Yeah, but maybe he knows that's what they're thinking.
Well, as it turns out, it's definitely true.
Yeah. The next matchup is Ken Shamrock battling D'Lo Brown. D'Lo's got the Nation with him minus The Rock. Well, he does show up later, but what did you think about this match? D'Lo Brown doesn't get talked about a lot. I think he's a very underrated worker. What do you think?
He is. He did a good job of tapping out very quickly.
As one should.
Which is a good thing, especially when you're wrestling against Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, definitely. A bit more mat wrestling in this than I thought we would get. It wasn't a very long match. Shamrock does win by tap out. The Nation looks like they're going to attack him after the match, but The Rock comes out, and he gets on the mic and he he tells Shamrock that he's a giving person and he's in a giving mood because in the snap of his fingers, the guys could come in there and take him out. But instead, he's going to not only have a match with Ken Shamrock, but have a match with him for the Intercontinental Championship at the Royal Rumble. Which, wow, I mean, if I was The Rock, I wouldn't agree to that.
No, but he set it up, much to the disgust of Farouk.
Yeah, so he calls them all back. Commodilo, let's go, Farouk. And Farouk doesn't want to go. He has to call Farouk back a couple of times, and you can see the disgust in Farouk's eyes. So
yes,
it's starting to brew really between those two. The tension between The Rock and Farouk. We then see the New Age Outlaws looking for Mankind still. They go into a dark room, and this time they do find him. Starts kicking their asses, and he's like singing a Christmas carol while he's doing it. I don't remember which one it was, but he was singing something while he was doing it, and it was really funny.
It was.
They end up locking him in they call it a freezer, but I've worked in kitchens my entire life, and that's a walk-in cooler, and that is not a freezer.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's 45 degrees in there, but it's not 10 degrees in there. You know what I mean? Like, it's cold, but you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the end of that. They lock him in a cooler. I don't know if hopefully he'll get out of there. You know, if he doesn't get out of there, Dude Love can come back and he can fight them, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. And then we get back to the ring just in time to see the Artist and Luna come down to the ring in what Jim Cornette described as the ugliest Christmas tree he'd ever seen.
I was just about to hit the fast forward button on this, and then somebody, and I remembered what went on here.
Santa came out, yeah.
Santa came out, and I remembered who Santa was.
Yeah, he starts reading a book called The Night Before Christmas. You familiar with this one, Glenn?
I am.
It was the night before Christmas, and all through the house. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Everyone knows that one. And then here comes Santa. He calls himself the real Santa. He's throwing candy to the fans. Luna and the Artists are not happy with this. They start yelling at Santa as he goes on reading his book. Finally, Santa gets in the ring and just fucking clobbers Goldust over the head.
Yeah, this is great.
And who was Santa, Glenn?
It was Vader. When they play Santa's music, it's time. It's time. It's Vader time.
It's Christmas time. He didn't say that, but it should have.
Yeah.
And I would have say this is probably the biggest pop Vader got in his entire career on the WWF.
I would have thought so. It could have been another one of those cringy segments that didn't work. But having Vader come out and clock him with the bag and then beat him up, it definitely did work.
Yeah, it was a good way to get a Santa Claus type thing on the show, and he got a little comeuppance on Goldust, who needed some after.
That's right.
He threw fucking hot coffee. He got hot coffee thrown in one eye, alcohol thrown in the other. They hit it with a hammer. What a bad year for Vader. We then go to the main event. It is Shawn Michaels defending the European Championship against Triple H. I don't know. They take a long time to even touch each other. Then they do a collar and elbow tie up. Michaels falls down. Triple H hits the ropes what seems like about 10, 15 times.
Yeah.
Does one of the worst splashes in the history of wrestling. Yeah. They count 3, and now Hunter is the new European champion. And they basically made old dumbass Sargent Slaughter look like an asshole. And they're like,
doesn't take a lot, does it?
No, it doesn't. They're like hamming it up to the crowd. They're both like fake crying, and Hunter gets on the mic and he's like, other than my kid being born, I don't have one that I know of. He's like, this is the greatest moment of my life. Sarge, I did it, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
I don't think it did a whole lot for the European Championship. I mean, they haven't done it. I don't even know. They should have just discontinued this thing a long time ago.
They should have done
last as long as it does.
Are they? when they said 60 days, I thought, I'm sure it's been longer than that since anybody.
He hasn't defended it since he won it.
No.
And that was like in September.
Who was it who had it before then?
Bulldog.
Davey.
Yeah. Him and Bulldog are the only two.
So that was beginning of the year.
Yep.
That was like 10 months ago.
Well, and he beat Davey in like September, I think. So it's been like November, December. So it's been a little more than 60 days, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it makes fun of the Sarge some more. That we see Sarge on camera, you can hear him, but Hunter and Shawn can't hear him. But Hunter, he says, that's okay. Hunter, you'll be defending that title next week on Raw against Owen Hart. So on the final episode of Warring the Attitude, Glenn, the final episode of Raw from 1997, we will see Hunter Hearst Helmsley defend the European Championship against Owen Hart.
After this week, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yep, I'm right there with you, buddy. I absolutely agree with you right there. I think we're on a good roll here. I think that's three good weeks in a row because I give it had some decent wrestling, told some great stories. Highly entertaining show.
It was. The time flies with these ones that are entertaining.
Yeah, like some of the other ones I would be banging my head against the wall.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but getting much better. Let's look at the TV ratings for this week, Glenn, for December 22nd, 1997.
Oh, yes.
WWF went up this week to a 3.13, and they only trailed Nitro by a little bit. Nitro did a 3.54, so they're starting they're catching up with Nitro.
And Nitro taking a big hit from last week, where they were 4.1.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, obviously we're going to look, Glenn. Let's have a look-see and see what was on the card last week. I thought I brought it up already, but I did not. Let's see what was on the WCW Nitro card. Here we go. It was NWO Monday Nitro. So this was the one where they took over Nitro and made it NWO Nitro. And I remember it being awful. That's probably why the ratings were so low, because people turned it off. Fit Finlay defeated Eddie Guerrero by countout. Steve McMichael defeated Ming. Hector Guerrero, Juventud Guerrera, and Rey Mysterio defeated La Parca, Psychosis, and Silver King in a 6-man tag team match. Chris Benoit defeated Hammer. I don't know if that's Van Hammer. Fuck that guy. Kurt Hennig defeated Disco Inferno to retain the United States Championship. Thank God. And the main event of the evening was Randy Savage defeating Lex Luger. I can see why their ratings tanked. I'm glad I watched Raw.
It shows how WCW roster has deteriorated. The fact that they have to have Disco Inferno on every week.
Yeah, they're clearly going south. Yeah, no kidding. At least he wasn't like fucking beating a wrestling legend like fucking Eugene got it this week or anything.
Yeah, that's right.
But that's it. That's all for this episode. The second to last episode. Can you believe it, Glenn? Last week's the last one. Can you believe it?
Oh, yeah. It's been a fun year.
It's been a long way. It's been a long road, Glenn, but we're finally toward the end. So tune in next week. Glenn, who do we need to plug before we get out of here?
I need to give a special shout out to Dan. Thanks for his comments on when he listens to the show.
Thank you, Dan.
Like he did about the Disco Inferno and how righteously outraged you were about it.
Dan was just as angry as I was, he said. Yes.
Yeah. And of course, he's one half of the Unbooking the Territory podcast with Rob. They do not only their main show, which covers the first and last of wrestling, but also their little side projects like Unstacking to Dadatory, which is Giant Haystacks versus Big Daddy at 1981 Wembley World Cup show, and that was watched by 18 million viewers, apparently. The most watched wrestling show ever. And they've been the Elite Gator Golf, which is second series. It's like they've just finished. Has nothing to do with Gator Golf at all. And Booking the Tankatory, where if you look up Tank Abbott on the Twitterverse, you can find Tank Facts which I can't remember any of at the moment, so I'm not going to do any of them. But that's it. And I think I've lost Brent, so I don't know what's happening here. Ah, well, his computer's frozen up. So it leaves me to plug everybody else as well with Sportswire Radio with a Z. Sportswire Radio with a Z with host Thomas Bryce. They do some great shows on there, including ours for us. The third party in our little Wednesday night jaunts, the Mero Canton. He also does Meal with the Mayor every Wednesday on X Twitter, at 6 p.m. EST, I believe that is. And that's it. So I'm just going to say goodbye.